Summer for moderating a really fantastic discussion on social media influencer marketing. To kick off the CEO series, I'd like to welcome on stage Omar Christidis, the founder and CEO of Arabnet, to interview Neil Hardwick, the CEO of MEC MENA. Christidis.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And unfortunately, as Neil was saying earlier, we will not be able to give you fashion advice.
Yes.
But we will try to give you a little bit of insight on the future of the industry. It's our privilege to have with us Neil Hardwick, the CEO of MEC MENA, recently joined CEO of MEC MENA.
Yep, 3 weeks worth of...
3 weeks?
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks worth. But what's really exciting is Neil comes from 30 years of background in this industry. He's worked in emerging markets from China to Russia, London, and across the globe, really, and now leading MEC's efforts in the Middle East region. And so to dive right into the heart of the matter, Neil, let's talk about the future of the agency. We're having some discussions in the panel just before this about, can you guys help us with one thing? Yes, perfect. So we're having a discussion earlier now. There was a discussion about why go to your agency or not go to your agency for things. There is now increasingly competition between creative agencies and media agencies vying over the same piece of work. Content creation is kind of sitting in the middle. Social media kind of sitting in the middle. So where do you see this competition taking the industry? What do you think the future of the media agency or the future of the agency more broadly looks like, Neil?
Yeah, I think it's better to talk about the future of the agency, yes, or agencies in totality.
Yes.
You know, I'm old enough to remember when there was just the agency and media was an integral part of the delivery of the creative agency. Media agencies now find that rather strange. And in many ways, a lot of the mainstream media agencies are delivering is content as well. So they are actually stepping into the realm of the creative agencies. So the way I see it is that media is no longer isolated. It's no longer a deliverable that is easily separated out. And most of our clients are looking at not only for their media agencies to be delivering strategy, buying, content creation, social management, brand management. I mean, many of the things that were being discussed up here just now. But increasingly, they're looking at the agencies to be able to link into data and to technology, and we'll talk a bit more about technology, because if you start working with data, you need the technology to utilize that data. So yeah, I don't believe many clients these days are looking for a media agency at all. They're looking for a company that can, within the context of a media brief, deliver on all of those aspects. So we used to have all one agencies, right? There wasn't a split. We've split now. Do you expect to see consolidation? Are we going to go back to one agency doing everything? You don't necessarily need to roll them into a single legal entity at all. You know, in the last couple of months, there's been 3 or 4 announcements globally where large client organizations have held what we would call a holding company pitch. So they've basically gone to the 5 big holding companies and said, I want to hire one of you to deliver everything I need across all the spectrum: data, creativity, media, planning, social, everything. And what the pitch is involved is not, this named agency versus that named agency, that creative brand versus this creative brand. What they've actually chosen is a single holding company. And they're now saying, so I choose you as my holding company, and I need you to be able to have within your group brands or products, whether they are creative, social, digital, data, planning, buying, it doesn't matter. I need you to be able to deliver that from within your organization. How you structure that kind of becomes irrelevant. If I'm a client, I don't care what name card you come with me. It doesn't matter. Come to me with. You can come to me with that name card or this name card, as long as you're delivering me the services I need.
So, great. We talked about services. You were just talking about technology,
Yep.
right? And this is kind of a new area in terms of the agencies really providing technology services, right? So, I'm curious. First of all, we see agencies like MEC going beyond media buying and create media buying for MEC, but agencies more broadly going beyond their scope and into things like e-commerce.
Yep.
We see them going into things like innovation. MEC, I know in MENA has someone working on startups and connecting brands with startups. I'm curious what kinds of new services or revenue streams you see for agencies moving forward.
Well, firstly, we need new revenue streams, otherwise we die. Again, I've not had a conversation with a client in 30 years where the client said, I'll tell you what, let's do a pitch and next year let's take your buying commission from 1.5% to 1.8%. Now, the conversation is always, how do I get from 1.5% to 1.1 or 1.2 or maybe even 1? So that revenue stream is shrinking, that revenue stream is becoming less important. If we don't have additional revenue streams, we won't exist in the future. Now, creating content is a very good revenue stream. We talked about influencers and social. They're also revenue streams, and they're additional streams to us in the sense that if we don't deliver that service, other people will, and there are very good specialist companies that are delivering those services. So it's not so much, we want to retain the revenue streams that we currently have, and if they're migrating away, we need to follow them, or we need to be able to bundle them into a consolidated service. So that's what we're doing. You talked about tech and data.
Data, tech, e-commerce, and innovation, startups.
So data's easy. There's 3 sources of data. And I was just having a conversation around a coffee earlier where, clients have data. They have first-party data. Now, depending on the nature of your business as a client, you have either very high quality or less high quality data, but you have data. The difficult thing is at the moment, you're very scared of giving that up. And one of the big barriers for clients working more closely with people like Google is the minute you let Google into your business model, they start mining your data. So all of your first-party data, which is worth a lot of money and you've spent a considerable amount of time building, and it represents your consumer relationships, which, again, depending on the nature of your industry, you spent a lot of effort creating, people like Google start having access to it. And most clients don't want to give Google a free pass into their first-party data. So they need to understand how they want to work with the agencies, the media agencies, because we see data as being the key to allowing us to deliver genuine addressable media, where we no longer place media bookings, we no longer put ads on screens, we no longer buy space in magazines or outdoor. We follow consumers around and we address them as individuals and we target them as individuals and we follow up conversations with them as individuals. Now, we have data for that and we need the tools for that. So the key question then is, you've got a client, a client will come to us with their first-party data. We have third-party data. Many of the media conglomerators, especially in the digital field, have second-party data. So who's going to take the money from that? Are we all going to take a share? I don't believe we all will take an equal share because the world doesn't spin that way. So who's going to take the core share of that? Obviously, as agencies, we want to do that because we see we have the ability to manage that addressable conversation. So that's where we are with data, and it's going to be where, there's so much coverage about this big media pitch. Someone pitches this big client globally or this big client regionally. The actual amount of money we're talking about, yes, it's large, but the real money will be in the delivery of proper addressable via data. So that's really where the investment is going and the focus is going.
Would you want to comment on e-commerce or the startup angle? I mean, I hear a lot of agencies today. We work with a lot of agencies. I even heard someone say we as an agency are going to become more of a consultancy, working with our clients to deliver full service solutions across things like e-commerce?
There's been some stories in the press that both WPP and Publicis are potentially targets of Accenture. Accenture is a consultancy company. That's how they actually call themselves. They wouldn't be buying into groups where they didn't think there was a consultancy element. I'm not so sure that's the case. I actually think that the value a company like Accenture would take from buying a large group like ourselves or Omnicom or Publicis is not as big as the value a tech company would get from buying us. So I'm not sure that conversation with Accenture will go anywhere. But yeah, there is consultancy. There's value in consultancy, but again, I don't see that as our core delivery. I see us being able to take on, with clients, the ability to reach their consumers and to manage on their behalf that consumer conversation. E-commerce is a strange one because, again, if I sit down with most of my global clients, somewhere on the list of things to do, they will have written e-commerce. And it's a very easy thing to write on a to-do list. But e-commerce isn't a strategy. E-commerce is an item on a to-do list. When you actually say to them, what do you mean by e-commerce? What are you expecting e-commerce to deliver to your business model? How do you expect that to work? Most of them don't understand yet. And that's a failure on our part as well as their agencies, and it's a failure on their part to really understand where e-commerce will fit into their business strategy. Yeah, it's a great buzzword. And you know, no one's going to say, oh, e-commerce, I don't need that. Let's just leave it to one side. Everyone needs it. We're really only just getting to grips with what we will do as agencies to deliver e-commerce. Because we do believe we have a role in the middle, again, around data and knowledge and consumer engagement and consumer connections. But exactly what that means and how it will work, I don't think many people know yet.
Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about kind of the future of the industry more broadly. And I'm curious, what kind of 2 or 3 key trends do you see reshaping the landscape in the coming, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Well, I'll talk firstly a trend that's affected us already. Some people in the room will know that MEC won't exist come January the 1st. We will be called Wavemaker, and we'll be a consolidation of 2 agencies and some other assets. And that's something that WPP is doing globally, not just in the media agency area, but in other areas of their business. Now, this is WPP. These are the people that invented having 4 siloed media agencies with a single buying unit called Group M on top. That's the model that has now been replicated by all the other big agency groups. Yet we're now moving away from that. And we're not doing that on a whim. We're doing that because actually most of our client conversations are no longer about hiring a single agency brand. Most of the pitches are not about a single agency delivery. Again, we look at what we're discussing today. You've talked tech, you've talked content, you've talked social, you've talked strategy and media. Clients want all of that, and that doesn't come out of a single silo. It comes out of a group of silos. So whilst some groups are still moving towards the multiple agency brands, maybe 4, 5, 6 agencies, we're seeing we're actually heading the other direction. We're now the pendulum has swung. We've gone from having a few brands to many brands, and we're heading straight back to a few brands where the horizontality of our offer across all of those disciplines is available to a client from a single point of contact. Interestingly, and this is the same trend but a second element of it, inside WPP we have, I think, 28 global client leads. They don't sit in an agency. They work with a client across any part of the business. So, a global client can come to that person and say, I actually want this type of service, where do I find it? And so our client conversations are, again, moving away from those individual vertical brands and moving towards a group conversation. So that's another trend we're seeing. And I think that will be, the more clients ask for that, the more agencies will restructure to reflect that. So I think all we're doing is making the first step towards matching our structure to the demands that our clients need. And that's what we do. That's what most organizations do.
So, but if we're talking more about the market itself, we are seeing a lot of technologies that are kind of transforming the consumer journey. I'll take an example in my mind. Today we do a lot of in-store promotion, right? You'll go and you'll find like a stand, advertising, offer. But I have an Amazon Echo in my house, and I talk to Alexa, and I foresee that in the future I will talk to Alexa to order things for me, and I will not see that promotion in the supermarket anymore. In fact, I may not see an ad because I'm speaking to the system instead of actually consuming content visually. So I'm curious to see what kind of technologies you see reshaping the consumer journey or capturing media budgets moving forward.
There's a fantastic quote in, I think, David Ogilvy's original book about advertising, where he says, no medium ever kills another medium. TV didn't kill radio, digital hasn't killed TV, it's changed it, but it never killed it. You genuinely think that when you talk to Alexa, someone's not going to be monetizing that conversation?
Oh no, I certainly believe
there will be an ad.
100%.
So firstly, that Alexa may only be the first step in your path to purchase. You may then, having Alexa has raised that issue, you'll say, Alexa, bring me up the screen, and you'll then search for where you can get that product or where you can get that product at the best price. So all that means is that the path to purchase, the track of that consumer journey, again, it was mentioned earlier, that consumer journey is never going to be one single touch point. You may initiate that path to the final purchase via that journey, but then you may say, Alexa, if what you're looking to buy is an automobile, you're going to say, Alexa, bring me up a car configurator. Alexa, what brand, what new model provides me with these criteria? I've got a family, I need some room for kids, I got this, I got that.
And I'm with you. For something like a car, you purchase it once in a very long time, it has many features, it's a high price point. But if we're talking about milk, Alexa will know my favorite brand of milk, or it'll know that I'm really indifferent and want the cheapest milk, and then actually never have to ask me another question. It could be my first and last touch point.
It absolutely could be, and then the retailer that is providing, not necessarily to Alexa, but maybe Alexa is linked to your fridge, and your fridge is telling Alexa, you've run out of milk.
I can't wait for that day.
Or you've left the milk out, because the fridge will sense that there's no milk in the fridge, so they know that either you've run out or you've left it out and the milk is now warm and spoiling. So it will know that. And it will then maybe search for the cheapest brand on offer, but it will have to search presumably on a single retailer database, because you'll probably have a loyalty card with that retailer. Now again, you may not. You may be the type of person that wants to be able to search a different retailer based on a few cents here and a few cents there. Well, most people are not like that. We are intrinsically loyal, which is why loyalty schemes work. The value of company, we talked about first-party data. Loyalty schemes, they collect first-party data, and they work because we're human beings, and actually, most of us will end up putting an app on their fridge, their Alexa, their phone, that has one retailer, and that retailer will perhaps do that price comparison function for you. Brilliant. But then all it is automated brand selection.
Excellent. And so, but my question then is where does the advertiser now fit?
Right. Firstly, if you're the retailer, they're the advertiser. So how do they get their app on your products rather than someone else's? Yeah. So is it preloaded? Do they do a deal with the refrigerator manufacturer? Do you have to load? Do you when you unwrap your shiny new white goods appliance? Do you have to actually choose which retailer you load up? Yeah. In the same way, when you get a mobile phone, you've got Google already loaded. You may have other apps already loaded.
And so that's where the advertiser might advertise to me.
That's where the retailer may be trying to get you to load their app versus another retailer's app. The milk brand may want their, again, they may, effectively, it's a search placement. They'll be trying to get their product up your search list. They'll be probably layering ads into Alexa so that when you say, Alexa, I need milk, Alexa will pop up an ad for you about the newest brand of milk that shows you some product that has lower fat and more vitamins and is fresher than any other milk. I don't know, but you can see where that conversation goes. So again, we're being very specific about milk, but
yes.
I mean, there's many other consumer journeys that are far more complicated.
Yes.
You know, again, most of us, you talk about milk, but what about, you know, the Kit Kat? What about the bar of chocolate that you buy as a sort of, you know, you don't, most people don't pre-plan to have that snack bar of chocolate. It's an impulse purchase. So how is that going to come, and how is it going to reach you? So again, I think those conversations through content, through technology, through data, through just good creativity will still reach you.
Great. So, and my last question, what I understood kind of is we're seeing all of these changes in the consumer journey, these new platforms. Agencies have to be really agile to be able to figure out how they're going to plug in and where they're going to fit in this equation. What kind of skill sets, what kind of capabilities do you think agencies really need to be beefing up on right now in order to prepare themselves for this brave new world of advertising?
We need smart people.
Okay.
It's that simple. I mean, an agency that is staffed by similar types of people is not going to be a great agency. We need people, yes, who have specialisms in data. We need people who can sell, who can engage with clients. We need people who can still, you know, manage a timeline and deliver an end product on time, on budget. Yes, we need more maths-based people. We need people with data understanding. But again, I've been saying for years when people say to me, oh, we must hire more digital people. Who's not digital? Yeah, who doesn't have a mobile phone? Who doesn't, I mean, you see all these things of, you know, 3-year-old kids swiping and they're digital. We're all digital. We live digital lives. You know, you want a taxi, you know how to get one. You've got an app on your phone. So we're all digital. We all understand these things. I think that all we need is smart, again, it's the same skill sets we've always needed. Smart, communicative people who actually, yes, increasingly understand the digital world, but the digital world is the world around us. We all live in it.
Okay. Neil, thank you very much for
You're
joining
very
us,
welcome.
for sharing your insights. Thank you to the audience for attending us.
No conversation? Yeah, okay.
Well, look, Neil would like to take a question or two from the audience. I know we're out of time. My team is going to be very upset with me, but we're going to take two. Keep them really short, so maybe we can take more. Yes. If you'll say it loud, I'll repeat it. She has a great protein bar.
Yeah, called Christidis X.
Okay.
So, Christidis X is a great protein bar, and I am a startup. I don't have money or afford money to hire your agency. So, it's necessary to create a buzz about my protein bar or to sell it through social media, to put a fortune to get a feedback, or creativity can be like what happened with the Baylor Witch film, where they create mysterious thing and achieve a great watches for their film. This is my first question. Second question.
I can only allow you one question with the time that we have. So the question is,
yeah.
The question is around, do you need a big budget to have a great campaign? Great.
Two answers. The first answer is, go and have a conversation with an agency that wants to invest in your product themselves and swap them equity for deliverables. So you say, I want to hire you as my agency. When you sell me X million bars, I will give you 30% equity in the company, and see if someone bites, because someone may well think that's an interesting proposition if they believe in your product. The second way is, and that's quite a hard way of making it happen, but the second way of making it happen is you go and talk to an agency and you say, I don't have a big budget, but I want you to deliver me great content, and I want you to place that content with the database I have, share the databases that you have, and work with them either on a barter or low fee basis. So there are solutions that can be done. Again, you just need the people on the agency side to be listening to you as a potential next big thing, rather than the agency people who are only looking at the top 50 advertisers or top 20 advertisers, because you're not P&G or Unilever or Nestle. But yeah, a smart agency will respond to you with creative ideas of how to help you.
Great. Do we have another question? I saw the gentleman raise his hand in the back there. Yeah. So, but I like this. Today we're talking about data as the new real asset, and really the idea of paying for services with data.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Okay, so my question is, so agencies provide a service to the client, and nowadays the need for agencies are like diversifying. So what is preventing clients from like leaving the agency and hiring people to do everything in-house? Because they have more foresee, they can see it, they can manage it properly, they can manage the time, the duration. So why would we still need agencies if big companies can just acquire it and do it all in-house?
Brilliant question. And it's been asked, in my experience, for the last 35 years that I've been involved in the industry. The short answer is, do you see how I look? You know, I didn't lose this hair and get this old and have these bags under my eyes because running agencies, hiring creative personnel, managing all those disciplines in multiple markets is an easy thing to do. And most client organizations just simply don't need that when they've got their day jobs to do. Most client organizations know what they're delivering, their consumer products or their banks or their mobile phone operators. And that's what they do, that's what they're good at. And it's always been, and it's been proven time and time again, because major clients have tried this multiple times. The fact is, it's a horrible distraction. It can be a complete waste of time and money. And actually, you need to go to an agency, even small ones, has multiple clients with with that wide range of people with wide-ranging skill sets. If you need to create a marketing department with a full in-house delivery, you're going to be looking at hundreds of additional headcount. And some of them won't even be used very efficiently because, I have one specialist that just does, for example, performance media. Now, each client takes a little portion of that person, but if you want to hire them, you have to hire a whole one, and that's a lot of cost, a lot of wasted time, and probably loss of hair and bags under your eyes. My recommendation is they've tried it, and every time it's been tried, it's not worked particularly well. So it's just not a good answer for a business.
I have to wrap up, unfortunately, but Neil is with us, and he'll be around outside if you have more questions to ask. I saw at least two people who had an interest in asking a question, so I invite you to join us there. Thank you very much for your engagement and for thinking with us about the consumer journey of the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.